Abuja. Hello, my city people. Good evening. This is Sadat Anissa Sharif, your host, and welcome to the Capital City Podcast on Repa FM. Today's topic I have health tips for Abuja people beating malaria and staying safe in the heat. I know a lot of you didn't know, but this last Saturday we celebrated World Malaria Day. We all agree that malaria is definitely a disease that is very common and is spread everywhere. So this episode is very important in order to teach you the tips and tricks you will need to survive this chaos and at the same time the weather condition of Abuja. Thank God these days things always flip. Sometimes it's hot, sometimes the rain saves the day, but usually other than none, a lot of people are getting more sick. So that is why for us to bring this beautiful month of April to a close, we are going to give you certain tips and tricks to stay safe. So sit back, relax, I'll be right back. So this is how I sound. So calm. Okay, my city people, like I said, today's topic is health tips for Abuja people beating malaria and staying safe in the heat. Like I mentioned, this is the last week of April. I was asking my colleagues earlier how the month of April was for them. Everyone is saying it's too long, it's too fast, it was too slow, it was too hot. But all in all, we are grateful that we are alive to see the end of April and as we're getting ourselves ready for May. So, like I said last Saturday, we celebrated the World Malaria Day. Malaria is a very serious illness. It is caused by mosquito bites, especially from female mosquitoes that bite mostly at night. So, malaria is very common with anybody, a child, an adult, an elderly adult. So this is something that indeed has caused a lot of chaos and if possibly even leads to death. But we're very glad and happy that it has been picked out to create awareness on why Malaria Day should be spoken about. And the day reminds us that malaria is preventable and treatable, but we all have a role to play in staying safe. So how can we do that? Why is malaria common in Abuja? Number one, poor drainage system. You know, malaria mosquito likes dirt, so if you're definitely in a dirty environment, just welcome malaria. At the same time, stagnant water. We do have the situation of saying, okay, it rains some days, it doesn't rain some days. But what about the drainage process of that rain? Do try your best to avoid being around stagnant water, if not for yourself, but for your family. Of course, we know the rainy and humid conditions create breeding grounds for mosquitoes. Mosquitoes need that kind of environment in order to flourish. So please make sure you avoid such areas. I was talking about the Abuja heat, which has not been a joke, but we need to pick it out because certain small things like heat leads ways to more dangerous ailments, more dangerous sickness, and more dangerous harm, which can weaken your body. So how are the signs to know you have malaria? Because now any small thing, once your head is paining you, you have a bitter mouth, you immediately self-diagnose yourself with malaria. Health experts say that you should at least wait to be tested to be very sure because malaria symptoms have the same common symptoms with other ailments. But the very common one for malaria is you feel feverish, you have a headache, indeed you have a body pain, you have chills, weakness. Do not ignore it. Once you feel all these signs, you should know that you need to get tested quickly. Of course, the health system is very expensive. Primary health care can be very expensive. It's not so easy, especially with today's economic function, to be able to treat your health as alongside as hustling or trying to make a living for yourself. So for me, as I always say, I always encourage traditional support. And what are those traditional remedies? Natural remedies like neem leaves, scent leaf, ginger tea. I even heard even bitter leaf. So you see all those good soup that you have. These are ways of all trying to boost your immunity, and this will help you fight off symptoms of malaria or at least prevent it to a certain level. You see, taking herbs doesn't mean that you're self medicating, but it just plays a role in preventing how it can be more dangerous because, like we said, malaria can or has led to a lot of death, especially in the past where it wasn't well informed. Another thing is don't skip proper treatment. Some people After that test, you take malaria drugs for 2 days. You will not be wondering why it's back in 2 weeks. You need to finish your medication by going to the right pharmacy and getting the right accredited NAFDAC drugs. We all know still out there are fake drugs, so that is why I always recommend traditional remedies. But in case you have a trusted supplier or a trusted pharmacy, you should do well to make sure you get your drugs from there. Another thing again to boost everything together, if we're talking about how we can merge having a better awareness for malaria and also how to navigate the heat in Abuja, is pretty much the same advice that I'm putting together. You need to drink plenty of water. We need to stay hydrated. A lot of the time, there was a certain report of a certain person standing at a bus stop and he literally fainted and passed on immediately on the spot. What led to it? They said heat stroke. So sometimes working so hard in this economy and doing multiple jobs shouldn't also give you the reason why not to take care of yourself. Because as the saying goes, you need health to create wealth. So like we are saying, stay hydrated at all times, drink plenty of water throughout the day. Heat can quickly lead to dehydration and weakness. So that ordinary heat, when you say, my head is paining me, my head is paining me, that's literally the sign. Do your best to stay away from the sun. And if you have a job that can't control you, or let's say an outdoor job like a construction job or an outdoor vendor, then you should get a really nice sunscreen or good hats or caps. I know all these small things people tend to look down on them, but these are the things that will actually prevent you from falling sick or worst of all, spending money to get yourself treated. You see, it's cheaper to prevent it, but it's definitely going to be more expensive when that happens. The next one is heat can cause sickness. Extreme heat can lead to dehydration, fainting, and can worsen illnesses like malaria or infections. So sleeping under mosquito nets, which has highly been recommended, using treated mosquito nets is one of the easiest and most effective ways to prevent malaria. But some people will say, how can I prevent malaria if I can't afford mosquito nets? I've also heard in situations where they said burning bay leaf or very strong scented leaves actually helps in clearing out mosquitoes around your area. Let's ask our grandparents or senior elders how they were able to keep themselves safe, because before the introduction of orthodox, which is foreign medication, we definitely had our traditional way of doing things. The next one, which I already mentioned, was keeping your environment clean. A clean environment will definitely help you in so many ways. Sometimes you don't have control of your environment, which I agree. If you have a very nosy neighbor, a very dirty neighbor, sometimes it can lead to excess of chaos or sense of drama. But in all, you have to make sure that your environment is clean. So you have to advocate for why you need a clean environment. And sometimes instead of arguing too much about it, best to just do it yourself. Because like they say, you know why you are preventing yourself from having the ailment that you have. We all know that the Abuja heat as well can also lead to confusion. I know a lot of people laugh about that, but you can imagine frying your brain under the sun every single time. Of course, it will lead to small, minor psychological or physiological ailments. For example, you having confusion, you having anger management, you being stressed, you being laid down, you be feeling small symptoms of depression. A lot of it has to do with our weather and our environment. So if all these small things are happening to you, it's just for you to be self-aware of it and try to calm yourself down. A lot of the time we think that we need people to send in. I haven't even called out yet, but we have a caller. So let me just pick up. I'm going to open up the lines for any contribution or questions that you have. So let me pick this call. Okay, we missed that caller. So let me open up the lines. The number is 080-5682-6499. I go again. The number is 080-5682-6499. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
How are you doing? Thank you for calling.
I'm fine, thank you. My name is Felisa from Ghana.
Hello, Madam Felicia. What is your contribution? Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I just say, may I come, may I give my contribution. All this place, when they feel like it goes add malaria. It they bring mosquito, all this water, all this sickness. They say environmental, then they come past the sea. They increase all these chances of getting malaria. Our children, they get malaria, they die. So please, when they help us, when they come, they pass all this, so that all this malaria, nobody has to stop.
Absolutely right. Thank you very much for your contribution, Madam Felicia. Speaking
Thank you
about
very much.
government parastatals stepping in to help to keep the environment clean, this is, like I said, an avenue to create awareness about it. If indeed your area is having an environmental stress or is unsanitized and it is beyond you and your environment, it definitely is necessary for you to call the attention of your community leaders to reach out to the right people. But there's also another one of coming together and doing it yourself. Because, like we said, Madam Felicia, I hope you're listening. Sometimes, if you say you're going to wait for the government to come and clear the environment, how many people will quote unquote die? So it's very good to bring people together. This is why we definitely support or encourage people to open up environmental friendly climate NGOs to kind of like put things together, make it better, create awareness for a healthy and sanitized environment. So this is actually a very good way of keeping yourself occupied or creating awareness on your environmental problem if you actually come up with ways of keeping it clean. I know we've seen certain NGOs that go around sweeping the area, giving out environmental stuff, giving out brooms, mops, sanitation equipment, and also planting trees and all the things to encourage our green area. So I know for a fact that that is a good way to start showing your concern and love for your environment if you pay attention to it and decide to pick it up personally. Again, the number is 08056826499. The number is 08056826499. So as I was going on ahead on with my points, the next point that I have is dress light and stay cool. This is not the right weather to be wearing a three-piece suit, heavy hoodie for our Alte fashionistas. This is not a good time to wear super heavy dark colors because, okay, we have a caller. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. My name is Cynthia from the registered group. So I'm still check in on the malaria stuff.
Yes,
So I heard
please.
you were saying that yes, it can contain sensitive and people can actually, have to take herbal remedies to
Yes.
the effects of the healthcare cost.
Mm-hmm.
In as much as that is also good, I think we should also let care families know that herbal remedies that can
Mm-hmm.
cushion malaria just also taking in moderation because
Yes.
we also care for other parts of our body, our livers and our kidneys. When
Mm-hmm.
you're taking it, don't not because now hair remedies are not really, you can't take one cup or
Yes,
take two
so
cups and
very true.
traditionally as the government thing and all that. So let's go ahead and know about that. And then an important thing as well, they should
Mm-hmm.
also take treated insecticide that also help us. So
Mm.
in as much as convenient of finding for those mosquitoes are inevitable. It's not to
Yes.
counter people in Nigeria, in as much as we're trying our research to interpret
Yes, please go on. We're listening.
mosquito net helps in whole lot.
Yes.
People would complain of the makes people need it, makes your eyes teary and every other thing. Best to use sun bright for not like in a very heated sun, just in a less sunny area, which for 24 hours before usage. It has no effect of teary eyes and every other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I should I want to just say thank you so much because malaria is really bigger than what we are seeing right now or how we are seeing moving on malaria. Most
Yes.
people have died from, the malaria disease. People
Mm-hmm.
have had from simple malaria to having cerebral malaria, which is the death and every other thing. So,
Yes.
well done.
Thank you so much, Auntie Nurse, for your amazing contribution, and I know it will definitely be valuable to people listening. Thank you so much.
You know, okay.
Mhm. So, what an amazing contribution because she's absolutely right. In as much as we're still encouraging traditional herbal remedies, it still doesn't come with a lot of instruction like moderation. So, she's absolutely right in saying, yes, you can take it, but take it moderately because at the end of the day, too much of everything is still not good. There are certain herbs that might be good for one person that might not be good for the other. For example, how they were saying in trying to tackle out the heat or the malaria, ginger tea is good for you. But there are some chronic ulcer patients that can't have ginger just because it's too acidic, or certain people that react to it. So it just makes sense that you pick what works for you, and of course with the help of a professional, knowing the moderation. And of course, you see, we're still talking about malaria preventions and using mosquito nets as an example. Okay, we have another caller. Hello, good evening. Thank you. Your name and where you're calling from. Your name is what? Sorry? Okay, hello, Mr. Yunusa. So please, what's your contribution? Yes. Yes, we can. We can hear you. Okay. Okay. Okay, Mr. Yunusa, thank you so much. We'll definitely do something about it. Thank you, sir. So as we were making more points with what Antina said earlier, the right amount of moderation, and of course doing the right pre advised routine when trying to treat malaria or prevent malaria, such as with the mosquito nets, making sure that you're drying it for 24 hours. I remember back in the day in secondary school, in JS1 in particular, we were given our mosquito nets when we came to boarding school. And because we didn't get the sensitization, some of our classmates opened their mosquito net and they tied it around their bed. The next day or two, I think one of them literally had a very chronic skin reaction, because it was said that the acid or the chemical used on the mosquito net without properly being dried ended up affecting, and it didn't like give her a surface burn, but it was a very deep burn. So indeed, it was something that was highly advised later on, that we must always air out our mosquito nets. So that is very, very important for those that can have access to mosquito nets. Of course, there's also the one that's the popular mosquito chemicals, such as the mobiles, the bacons. When you use, although some of them, okay, we have another caller. Okay, hello, good evening. Good evening, sir. Your name and where you're calling from, please. Okay, thank you, Mr. Please, your contribution.
Sorry, what I want to understand is that children
Yes.
think about the need that the government to prevent malaria. Again, just my idea and uncle, I didn't really understand what they're saying about them.
Okay, so I'll repeat.
I called to know more about it.
Okay, so I will give my unexpected or an unexpected opinion in saying, calling example of herbs that are very good in preventing and managing malaria, or they are both best known for boosting your immune system. St. Leaf is a very good one, because St. Leaf has the right amount of phytochemicals to help fight any antibody that is trying to bring down your immunity. At the same time, there are certain herbs like bay leaf that said that when being burnt, the smell of bay leaf, or in some situations a big farm of scent leaf, helps to wipe away or pursue away mosquitoes just because of that strong smell. So of course, these are just opinions that I had on my own, and they can be researched, but of course it has worked tremendously well. Call has ended. We have a lot of other herbs that are very good for that. But Mr. Luke, if I got your name correctly, yes, St. Leaf in your soup, in your traditional pepper soup, is definitely very good for boosting your immunity, and it will help you fight off the symptoms of malaria before it comes out of hand. Another big point is a lot of people ignore their bodies until it is too late. You start feeling the small weakness. Even when you are able to manage your body, you still don't fight it like the way you're supposed to fight away the chemicals in you, or rather the malaria in you. So a lot of the time, that's why you end up getting it worse. For example, when Antinos was explaining how it can be cerebral malaria, where the virus ends up in your brain and leads to other failures in your system. So malaria might be seen as small but extremely, extremely dangerous. So as we're talking about the outfits that are right for this environment right now, in this our heat environment, you should make sure you wear loose, breathable clothes to reduce heat and avoid excessive sweating. Do whatever you can to avoid excessive sweating, because outside of it being for your own personal health, it also will reflect on your personal hygiene as well. So if you are sweating excessively and you're under heavy outfits, of course you will be moving around smelling funny. So sometimes the best thing you can do is to make yourself breathable, wear light clothes, and then you are able to check out your temperature. The next is to eat foods that boost your body. We're already talking about herbs and traditional vegetables, but of course, fruits like watermelon, oranges, vegetables help keep you hydrated and strong. Be very close to your organic food. This is definitely not the best weather for processed food or chemicalized food or shop food. Thank God in the part of Africa that we're in, Nigeria, we're able to grow a lot of our organic herbs. So one of the best thing is going organic, going fresh, because going fresh gives you direct access to the nutrients that you need to boost your body rather than getting supplements or medications. Medications is okay if that is the treatment for the ailment that you already have, but in the aspect of prevention, especially with the aspect of supplements, too much of supplements, especially if the supplements are fake or whatever, in the long run gives you an issue. But if you're used to training your system to be used to organic foods, of course it will be way, way, way better for you. Of course, the next thing that we have is get enough rest. One of the reason malaria or sickness is veiled in your body is because you don't have enough rest. We know how it is about looking for a source of income or trying to make it in this economy. But like we said, that shouldn't be a reason why you should look down on yourself. Another one is avoiding self-medication. I made mention of that. A lot of people are their own pharmacists and nurses and doctors, which is a very big problem because there are some malaria medicines that are not for everyone. There are certain malaria drugs that have certain chemicals that you might react to or might not be good for your system. So that is why when they say you should go and get tested, they are not saying it to eat up your money. I know Mr. Inusa mentioned on the call earlier that primary health care is very expensive, especially for malaria. And if you go to primary health care at this level, they are quote unquote providing the cheapest form of health system. So if it is still being complained that it is still expensive, does that mean that people shouldn't be treated? That is why you have to think of alternative ways to treat yourself. Hence why we were kind of highlighting on the traditional aspect, eating good food, maintaining a good hygiene, having a good environment. These are all small, small tips and tricks that will definitely help you in the long run and will also save your pockets. Another one that we know is when you're going to the hospital. If you have symptoms that are more than what you know it is, that is your cue to go to the hospital. A lot of people have died at home just because they think they can do better. So my city people, this brings me to the end of today's episode. Like we said, we're out here trying to make sure everybody is safe, healthy, happy, and okay as we navigate this journey called life. It is very important we do it with full health and always bring in our pointers. Thank you so much to the callers that gave in their contribution. Thank you for doing this episode with me, and also for those that called in to ask their questions. Of course, if you need any more, our social media platform is New Studios, and you can only find us on Repower 100.5 FM. See you next week as we're going to celebrate a beautiful new month. We're going to walk into the month of May, where things will happen back to back in God's grace for us. We are welcoming the blessings, the generosity, mercy, and favor of the month of May. So that is all for April 2026, and that is me signing out from the Capital City Podcast. See you next week. Love, love, love. Bye. You
guys are on time today.
Yes, no. You didn't even give up.
You have a time today.